I grew up with 3 sisters and 2 brothers. Growing up, I felt like a lot was going on around me. I sensed like my parents pushed me to the side. They were so busy with work. My youngest sister is 3. She's a crybaby, so mom and dad constantly had to be around her. She's the kid that you see getting carried around, even in the house. My second sister is 2 years younger than me, and I started the being cool stage. With that being said, I saw a lot from observing what was going on around me. At the age of 10, my 2 sisters and I slept together with my parents in their beds. One night around 9 p.m., my family had movie night. Halfway through the movie, I got tired, so I decided to go to sleep in my parents' bedroom. The lights off, but I had the bedroom door open. I could see the light from the television flickering while my family was watching the movie. My eyes got tired. I was exhausted. You know when you were super tired and you try to keep your eyes open? That's how I was. I closed my eyes for a split second, and when I opened my eyes, there stood a shadow at the doorway. It looked like a tall guy standing there. Now, my parents are not the tallest of people, so I definitely knew it wasn't them. The shadow's head almost reached the top of the bedroom door. From the television light behind the shadow, I could see that its head was tilted to one shoulder. It stood in the middle of the door, holding the door frame. It leaned in and looked at me. Scared, I turned my body towards the wall. As I tried to comfort myself by being in the fetal position and a blanket on top of my head, I could hear something breathing in my ear. It started talking to me, but I couldn't understand what it was whispering. The whisper was gibberish and staticky. I screamed out of fear. The light turned on, and it was my dad. He asked me what's wrong. I got up and ran to him and hugged him. I told him what I had just seen. He got down on one knee and told me that it was just a dream. Go back to sleep and don't come to bed. Dad went back to the living room and told my other siblings to go to sleep. My 2 sisters ran into the bedroom and slept beside me. The 3 of us slept side by side, and as I recalled, I was sleeping at the corner of the bed next to the wall. But when I woke up in the middle of the night, my sister was sleeping by the wall and I was in the middle. I have no idea how she got there, but her body was turned facing the wall. In the dark, I gently nudged her to move further from me since we were sleeping so close to each other. She moved, but turned facing me. She's wide awake. She looked scared. She just stared at me. She moved closer to me and whispered, "Someone's touching my feet." I didn't say nothing. I slowly moved my feet closer to my body and covered the blankets to my eyes. My younger sister and I stared at each other. We didn't know what to do. We froze. My blanket started shifting. Something was pulling on my blanket. I held onto my blanket tighter. Then a cold hand grabbed my left ankle. I cried out loud, and that's when I woke up both my parents. My dad got up, turned on the light, and cuddled me. He asked me if I'm all right and did I have another nightmare. I told him again for the second time what just happened. He told me not to worry. Right when he said that, my younger sister blurted out, "Something was touching my feet too, Dad." Dad glanced back and forth at the both of us. He didn't know how to explain this time. He told us to sleep closer to him if we don't feel safe. We did as he said and fell fast asleep. For the next few weeks, nothing has happened. Then, another night, I was woken up by my 3-year-old sister that slept with us. She was hysterically crying. She cried so much and so long my dad took her to the kitchen to calm her down. She had woken up all of us sleeping in the bedroom. I could see the light in the kitchen from my bed, so I got up and walked towards them. Dad saw me and told me to turn on the light in the bathroom. He was going to take my sister to the bathroom and close the door so her crying won't be so loud. I led Dad while he carried my sister, and we went to the bathroom. Dad sat on the toilet and tried cheering my sister by gently shaking her and talking to her. I stood in front of them halfway asleep while gazing at the both of them. There is a window beside the toilet, and I could see the backyard. The backyard light was on, but at the edge of the woods stood an old lady. She was facing me, smiling. She had on a dark dress. Her head looked awkwardly pale. What's super weird is the fact that I couldn't see any feet. It was as if she was floating in the air. I didn't know what to think. The old lady was waving at me as if for me to come to her. I definitely wasn't going to do that. I looked at Dad and back at the old lady. The old lady is still there doing the same thing. Waving her pale white hands, she moved back into the woods and disappeared. This time I didn't tell my dad. Dad didn't believe me the last few times. There's no point of telling him. I didn't want to be a burden to him since my sister was already a pain in the ass. Feeling some type of way, I waited for Dad to go back to bed. Right before I raised my foot onto the bed, I felt something cold on top of my foot. I looked down and a hand moved quickly under the bed. Frightened, I ran to the side of Dad and jumped on the bed. Tonight, he'll be sleeping in Dad's arms, I told myself. As I grew older, I found out that I'm not the only one that this has happened to. My older sister, who's 4 years older than me, felt those cold hands when she was younger. My older sister said, back then when she slept in the room with Dad, she could hear noise coming under the bed. She said she's seen the hand before. As she got older, she moved out of the room and haven't seen that pale white hand since. Maybe it's just the room. Maybe that thing is stuck in that room. But how come I saw the old lady at the backyard? Was she a random crackhead or homeless person? Is my house haunted, or is it just wandering spirits? Tell me what you think. Again, thank you for listening to Scary Story Shivers. Like, share, subscribe, and as always, stay shivering.